how's it going, guys? This is Donnie coming to you from Misawa, Japan. This is not a Chinese movie you guys are watching on Saturday morning. My lips are not matching because I lost the original audio. However, I didn't want to lose the video. So what I'm going to do is a voice over here going over assembling piston rings for CP Pistons and everything. So the guys out there have seen my page for a bunch. You've seen Manly and CP as my combination. I use those a bunch. You can use whatever you want to use for your builds, and just consult your builder if you're not the builder yourself. So again, as you can see, I keep stocking CP Pistons for Rb26, Manly rods, and I get stuff done generally like that. Alright, so basically the one thing you want to look at before you start getting into your building and all that stuff is you want to pull out the manuals, the pamphlets, and it's going to tell you everything inside of the box you got to do, your conversions, the type of gap you got to use, nitrous, turbo, NA, all that good stuff like that. That way you don't mess anything up, because you can't do this over unless you got to take the engine back apart. Alright, so again, before you get to all that stuff, you got to get your area clean, set up, get everything nice and tidy, make sure you're in order, and then from there you want to start looking at your pistons, do your measurements, do the math they're going to tell you to do here, pull out your filler gauges, and make sure you got everything matching. So for me, I use actually 2 sets of filler gauges. That way I don't have to actually keep changing them back and forth. Open your box, make sure you got your rings and everything. For me, what I do is I actually take them here, I put them in 1 through 6, and just keep them in that order. I got my own little system to make sure I don't mix them up, because each ring should be corresponding to each piston, to each cylinder. So right here, because I'm for the video's sake, I'm actually going to do number 6 first, which again is number 6. One is adjacent over the top left. All right, so when you pull your rings out here, you're going to have your top ring, your second ring, which I got in my hand here, is the brown, like gray looking color. Then you're going to have your oil rings and your expanders. Alright, so what you want to make sure you got all those guys there to make sure the part numbers match, and also you want to make sure you're not installing rings upside down. So right here you got on your silver ring, the top ring, you got a number on the right side. You're looking at the gap, and then you have the second ring here, you have a number as well. Pay attention to this portion right here, because there's actually the indentation where you can catch your nail on it. That part has got to face downward. If you don't do that the right way, you're going to pump oil and it's going to be bad. You're going to pump oil and stuff into your cylinders. Not good at all. Alright, so one thing I would tell you guys to do from being a builder and making some mistakes is check your pistons and rods and everything. Once you get them, make sure everything is in the box, good to go, because humans pack these boxes, they can make errors. All those CP pistons are pretty solid. You want to make sure your wrist pins match the rods you got. You want to make sure your wrist pins actually flows through each one of those. You want to take one wrist pin and make sure it flows through each one of those pistons there, and make sure you're good to go in that aspect. Because again, I got to a build, I got the number 6, and the wrist pin actually didn't fit. It was an error by CP, and they fixed it, sent me another piston, so it was all good. Alright, so once you got all that stuff all set up, I start from the top down. Then what you're going to do is look in your cylinder here, make sure your cylinder is clean, no debris in there. I put a really light coating of grease, oil, or whatever you want to put in there, just to have some kind of so it's not straight metal on metal. And what you're looking at is making sure your hashing has to be as, I don't want to say any numbers here, but your hashing has to be as directed inside of your manual there, 45 degrees, what have you. So a dingle ball is not going to do it here, guys. Sorry, you want to save yourself some money. You're going to have a lot of trouble in the later rounds once you get the engine back together. You're going to have compression issues and things like that. So as far down as you can go, getting the gauge in there, and make sure you get the bottom portion of the cylinder, because the board's going to change. So if you have your gapping off at the top or precise at the top, you get down to the bottom and the gapping's different, it's going to mess everything up. So you want to gap and make sure the gapping is the right gapping for as low down as you can go. Again, as low down as the piston would normally go. Again, I'm not trying to be technical here, because again, this is not a teacher thing. I'm just showing some stuff. Guys, they're looking for Rb26 things here, or any engine, doesn't matter. Again, I'm just talking in general here, so I hope you guys want to come in here looking for a tutorial. So right now I'm just speeding through this process, because it is cumbersome. You got to do this for every piston, every cylinder, and it's very time consuming. So again, I'm just speeding through this, and again, while this is speeding, again, I'll just slow down myself, and I'll talk about a little bit more things you want to make sure you're doing. Alright, so for the gapping is very important, because you want to make sure, again, if you're using nitrous, your gapping has to be a certain way, nitrous turbo a certain way, nitrous supercharged a certain way, high spec NA a certain way, and you can go in. These are the suggested gapping areas by the manufacturer, the guys who make the piston. Now your builder can do whatever he wants to do. If he has a gapping in mind, and he's used that gapping multiple times over and over with great success, then follow his lead. Do what you want to do what you got to do for that to make sure it's good to go. But at the same time, you just don't want to blindly use somebody else's gap figures and different things there. So right here, what I'm doing is showing you guys. All right, so I'm doing my grinding. This is like the second round of grinding, and you want to do a little bit at a time when you're doing it. You don't want to sit that ring on there and start just grinding away. You want to do a half turn. Put your dowel right here. You want to put the dowel at the pretty much the top dead center. Spin it once, and you want to make sure you don't take off too much material, because you can't go backwards. You gotta get a whole new set of rings, and I definitely recommend having a spare set of rings on hand just in case you break something. But you cannot go backwards. You can only go forwards. All right. So again, you want to make sure. Again, you see these pistons right here. I'm pushing all the way down to the bottom, and I got the top, middle, and the bottom to make sure the gapping is uniform all the way up and down. Again, as far as the piston will travel, then that's based upon your stroke. That's based upon how long your rods are, things like that. So again, guys, there you go right there. Everything is all sorted. Everything is lined up for the first set. And what you want to do is once you get done with those, you want to put them back in order, put them back on the sleeves, put them back in the box until they're ready to assemble on the piston. I will highly recommend assembling your, doing your gappings, putting the rods on the piston, and then after that, put the rings on, because you don't want to mess things up. So again, guys, hope that's been informative for you. Again, this is not a school. I don't want to. I don't want to have you guys hold me to anything. So again, this was just a little bit of information on the piston ring assembly. I use CP Pistons manly rod combo. Whatever you use out there is going to be the same thing. I mean, you got to follow the instructions, and from there, you'll be good to go. Just don't deviate too far away from those. Make sure everything is clean. Make sure everything's tidy, and you'll have proper compression and a properly functioning engine. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. It's going to be Donnie signing off from Masawa, Japan, Pinku Style Garage. See you guys later. Peace.